Hi, this is a tutorial for how to create your Greek study tools. If you haven't done so already, I hope that you already have your Greek textbook and your Greek workbook. You'll need both right away. This is something that you don't want to wait in the mail for. It should be ready prior to the first week of classes. Let's say that your week typically begins on a Monday. On Monday, I would suggest reading the chapter lesson for the week. Read it through, including the notes, thoroughly at least once. If you have time, start on the instruction video or start instruction video on Tuesday. And with it, there's a study guide that you'll need to work through as you listen to the video. You do both simultaneously. After you finish the video sequence, you'll do something called a learning activity, where you'll start creating the study tools that you'll need to study for Greek, and that typically might be happening on a Wednesday or Thursday. So when you make your study tools, the first thing you want to do is create vocabulary cards. Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can go ahead and buy the suggested Mounts Greek study tools. This is a packet that you can go ahead and purchase. It'll have all the Greek vocabulary for Greek 1 and 2. It looks something like this, where you have the Greek on one side and the English on the other. I went ahead and punched a hole through the card. I stuck it in this 3-ring so you can carry it with you when you're waiting in line, ordering food. Hopefully not when you're driving, though. Please don't do that. And what you'll notice is that it has the Greek on one side and the English on the other. And my strong suggestion is make sure that when you study Greek, although I will never ask you I will not give you an English word and ask you to write out the Greek. I won't do that for the quizzes or for the homework. But I strongly suggest when you study Greek vocabulary, memorize it both ways. Memorize from Greek to English and English to Greek. So if I see the word agathos, which is the word for good or useful, you might be tempted to just read the Greek. Agathos, useful. Agapetos, beloved. Ionios, eternal. And you might just be tempted to just go from Greek to English, Greek to English. But if that's all you do throughout the whole semester, almost always the student fails to really learn the Greek well. As time goes on, we learn hundreds of Greek vocabulary words. And to keep it straight, oftentimes you not only need to memorize it from Greek to English, but also the opposite way, from English to Greek. You should be able to look at the word good, useful, and you should be able to say the Greek equivalent, agathos, and you should be able to write out agathos and spell it correctly. So I strongly suggest that when you memorize vocabulary, go from Greek to English. Say agathos, and then look at the answer for, if you can't remember, see if you can remember that it means good or useful. But also flip the deck over, start on the other side, and go English, and you should be able to say tritos and spell it correctly. First, it should be protos and spell it correctly. Evil, bad, it should be kakos or poneros and spell it spell it in Greek and write it out correctly. Do it both ways. If you don't do it both ways, chances are halfway through the semester you're going to start to confuse the Greek vocabulary very easily, and it might lead to a great barrier to really learning the Greek well for the course. So first thing you do is create Greek study cards, vocabulary cards. If you want to make them yourself, take a 3x5 index card, cut them in half, write out the Greek on one side, the English on the other, and you can make your own cards. Some students prefer to do it that way because it allows them to, as they create the cards, to also learn the vocabulary. But if you want to do that or buy the pre-made pack, either is fine. When it comes to the Greek grammar cards, you have to make them yourselves. And what will happen is that each week will feature grammar that you must simply memorize. Say, for example, you're in chapter 5 and 6 and you're learning the noun endings. You'll have to be able to write out what the noun endings look like for the nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative forms. And you might go write down all the noun endings in one chart like I did here. And you might be able, and you should be able to memorize them. You should be able to say that for the second declension masculine nouns, the endings from the nominative, genitive, dative, and accusative, singular and plural, is os, u, o, on, oi, on, ois, us. What I did was I just read everything that was down in this column. And so by having a grammar card that I can use to study from, I can memorize the grammar for the week and check myself by reciting it and looking to see if I got the grammar correctly. This is something that you have to do for every module, every week. Every week you're adding new vocabulary. Every week you're adding new grammar. And you might want to do it this way. You might want to type it out and do study sheets, but whatever helps you to write out the grammar, do it. By the end of the semester, you're going to have a whole pack of grammar cards. By the end of the semester, you're going to have a whole pack of vocabulary cards. So, and this is something that you'll know by heart. It's part of the process. So you create the cards, you memorize the grammar, then you do the homework. You try to do the homework without any study tools, so that and if you're able to do the homework for most of it without any help, then you're starting to get ready for the quiz. You'll take the quiz online. Once the quiz done is online, whether you do it over the weekend or on Monday, then the week starts over again, and you repeat the pattern. On Monday, you read the chapter, then you watch the instructional video on Tuesday. You create your language tools, Greek tools on Wednesday. You memorize on Thursday. You do the homework on Friday. You study over the weekend, and then you take the quiz either on Monday sometime, or maybe even over the weekend if you want to do it early. And then you start the next module and you read a chapter and so on. So that's the pattern that I would like to see you do regularly. The more repetitive it is, the more consistent you are, the more likely you succeed in the course, and that's what we're all aiming for.